A cache of arms in the container has been found at the Tinkan Island port in Lagos. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has expressed concern over the borrowing activities of the federal government. 3 police officers have been killed in eastern Kenya on Wednesday when their vehicle hit a landmine believed to have been laid by Somali jihadist group Al-Shabaab. And on sport, Nigerian striker Junior Ajayi was on target for Egyptian giant Al Ahly in their 2-0 away win against Cameroon Contour Sports in a CAF Championships League Matchday 2 Group B clash. Good day and welcome to African Broadcasting Network News. I am Ugali Mafuru. Now the news in details. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma, has charged the Kano State government to restore the industrial status of the state as a major commercial hub. Udoma gave the charge in a statement signed by Special Advisor on Media, Mr. Akpandem James, in Abuja at the second Kano Economic Investment Summit in Kano City. He said the Nigerians would like to see the state return to its former status as a major industrial and commercial hub in the country. The minister noted that under Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, the state has continued to pursue economic policies and programs aimed at improving the lives of the people, with particular emphasis on education and infrastructural development. Udoma said funds had been provided in the 2017 federal budget to provide infrastructure for the revival of the free trade zone in Kano to stimulate industrial activities, adding that funds has also been provided for the revival of the export expansion grants by way of tax relief as a further incentive to exporters. A cache of arms in the container has been found at the Tinkan Island port in Lagos. The zonal coordinator of Nigerian Customs Service NCS Assistant Controller General Monday Bue said the guns were imported from Turkey. According to the zonal coordinator, a suspect has been held in connection with the seizure, and the guns were concealed in a 20-feet container with a registration number PONU 2100241222G1 covered by bags of POP powder used for designs of houses. The importers declared the consignment and Nicesera and Canoa chemical formula. Items found by customs are 100 pieces of black Tornado single-barrel rifle, 75 pieces of silver Magnum single-barrel rifle, 50 auto-pump action rifle, 215 black single-barrel rifle, 164 rifle nozzles, and 103 arms grips. Other items are 110 triggers, 113 arm guards, 107 bridge blocks, 122 Allen keys, 117 assemble bots, and 51650 kg bags of bomb slates. However, this is the second time in 3 months that such a seizure has been made at the ports in Lagos. 7 officers, a retired rear admiral, and 5 businessmen have been implicated in alleged diversion of 62.8 billion naira belonging to the Navy. The fraud occurred between 2013 and 2015 when Vice Admiral Usman Jubrin was the Chief of Naval Staff. A former Naval Chief of Accounts has refunded 155 million naira to the Economic and Financial Crime Commission (EFCC), even as his share of the lot is still being traced. Jubrin, who is facing trial over the $2.1 billion arms deals, is still being investigated for the alleged diversion with his wife and some companies which are believed to have been allegedly used to launder funds. According to the preliminary report on the investigation, the 62,851,888,500 naira was allegedly siphoned from the 2 accounts belonging to the Navy. The diverted funds were sourced from the Chief of Naval Staff Operations account and Okumba Mark Naval account. EFCC detective discovered that 4 cashiers in the Navy lieutenant, sub-lieutenant were used to siphon funds from the 2 accounts into some companies in which Jubrin has interest. The ex-chief of naval staff is believed to have incorporated some companies through proceeds. And now on business. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has expressed concern over the borrowing activities of the federal government, saying the pace of government borrowing has exceeded the target for the 2017 fiscal year. The central bank's position came along with its Monetary Policies Committee (MPC) decision at the end of the second quarter 2017 yesterday to retain all its key policies rates, citing challenges weighing down the domestic economic and uncertainties in the global environment. The decision also followed announcement by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) that the national economic contracted for the fifth consecutive quarter as the real gross domestic product (GDP) declined by 0.52% in the first quarter of 2017. And according to NBS, in the first quarter of 2017, the nation's gross domestic product (GDP) contracted by 0.5% year-on-year, in the real terms representing the fifth consecutive quarter of the contraction since the first quarter of 2016. This is 0.15% higher than the rate recorded in the corresponding quarter of 2016, reversed to 0.67% from 0.36%, higher by 1.21% from rates recorded in preceding quarter, reversed to 1.73% from 1.30%. Quarter-on-quarter real GDP growth was 12.92% during the quarter. Aggregate GDP stood at 26.03 trillion naira in nominal terms compared to 22.24 trillion in first quarter of 2016, resulting in a nominal GDP growth of 17.06%. FG borrowing excessively. Announcing the decision of the MPC meeting, CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele said the net domestic credit NDC grew by 1.4% in April 2017, annualizing to 4.21%, which is significantly below the 17.93% provisional growth benchmark for 2017. However, net credit to government, according to him, grew by 24.08% over end of December 2016, representing an annualized growth of 27%. And the MPC communique equally stated the committee was concerned that credit to government continued to pace the program target of 33.12% for the fiscal year of 2017, while credit to the private sector declined considerably far below the program target of 14.88%. On the other hand, MPC called for increased lending to the private sector by banks, even as it urged the central bank to increase surveillance of the banking sector. And gold price has drifted lower by 70 rupees to 28,741 rupees per 10 gram in future trade today, as participants lightened their positions, largely in tandem with a weak trend overseas. In future tradings, gold for delivery in June was trading at 70 rupees or 0.24% down at 28,741 rupees per 10 gram at the multi-commodity exchange, with a business turnover of 241 lots. The metal for delivery in 5-month August 2 fell by 53 rupees or 0.18% to 28,909 rupees per 10 gram in 29 slots. Analysts say a weak trend in the overseas market, where the precious metal drops as investors struggle off heightened political risk following a terror attack in UK, weighed on gold futures. Globally, gold lost 0.77% to $1,250.7 US on ounce in New York. And now we'll join Okemuti for more news from Africa and around the world.
Thank you, Gali. And now Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has accused Egypt of supporting rebels' war with Khartoum, a week ahead of a visit to Cairo by Sudan's foreign minister that is aimed at easing tensions between the neighboring states. In a speech to Sudanese armed force, Bashir says Sudan's military had seized Egyptian armored vehicles from rebels in the country's war-torn southern Darfur region. Meanwhile, Egypt's foreign ministry denied supporting the rebels, adding that Egypt respects the sovereignty of Sudan over its territory and has not and will not interfere for a single day to destabilize Sudan or harm its people. Egypt and Sudan have been at odds in recent months on a range of issues, from disputed land in southern Egypt to trade restrictions and burdensome visa requirements that have threatened bilateral commercial ties. Bashir, who is wanted for war crimes by the International Criminal Court, has been at war with various rebel factions in 3 southern regions of Sudan for years. The United States says earlier this year it would lift long-standing economic sanctions if Sudan made progress on ending those conflicts, with an initial review period set to expire in July. Sudanese Foreign Minister Ibrahim Gandol is expected to travel to Cairo on May the 31st to discuss, among other issues, a simmering trade dispute that has blocked Egyptian agricultural imports. We'll go on a short break, more stories when we return. Welcome back. 3 police officers have been killed in eastern Kenya on Wednesday when their vehicle hit a landmine believed to have been laid by Somali jihadist group Al-Shabaab. The Northeastern Regional Commissioner Mahmoud Ali Salal said the officers were part of a 3-vehicle early morning patrol in the Somali border region when their truck hit the improvised explosive device, and that all the dead officers are from one workstation. The Garissa County in which the incident happened has suffered several attacks linked to Al-Shabaab in the last few years, including 2015 assault on a university in which 148 people were killed. The police says on Tuesday they were on alert for an increase in violence after Al-Shabaab fighters were detected moving into Kenya in small groups, and those groups are dispatching operatives into parts of northeastern region to lay IEDs along the routes used by our security patrols in efforts to frustrate our security operations at the border areas. Al-Shabaab, which seeks to topple Somalia's government and impose its own arch interpretation of Sharia law, says it will continue to attack Kenya until Nairobi withdraws its troops from an African Union peacekeeping mission in Somalia. Residents in Lusaka's Kalingalinga are up in arms with the Ministry of Health following the outbreak of typhoid in Compound. A water crisis in the area has contributed to the outbreak. The residents have appealed to government to facilitate uninterrupted supply of water to the area. The Ministry of Health has urged residents to keep their environment clean and assured that the water problem will soon be tackled by the Lusaka Water and Sewage Company. We had Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Nayef bin Abdulaziz, Deputy Prime Premier and Interior Minister, attended on Tuesday a military parade put together by Special Security Force, including tactical shows and cadet inauguration ceremony. At Prince Nayef Security City in Salbok, on the outskirts of Riyadh, where the event took place, the Crown Prince was received by the commander of the Special Security Force, Major General Melflir bin Salim El Taibi, and senior officers. The tactical shows and simulation included storming a hijacked plane, commandos show, and an abducted train to release hostages. The drills showed high professionalism and readiness to brief security men to confront potential terrorist threats. It also measured the proficiency of military programs offered in developing and enhancing combat skills. At the ceremony, Major General Melflir bin Salim El Taibi addressed efforts and contributions of the Crown Prince in the fight against terrorism to achieve international peace and security, and that the present graduates constitute an addition to the process of building troops with a distinguished generation of capacities matching the challenges of our time. He pointed out that the training plan for the force for this year included up to 144 courses and had graduated up to 7,731 troops in the fields of combating terrorism and shadow protection. The Crown Prince also sponsored the graduation of students joining ordinary platoons and special operations corps. The U.S.-led international coalition forces have conducted an airdrop of force in East Syria against ISIS, killing 8 militants, as the Free Syrian Army kicked off its desert volcano battle to remove Iranian militias from near the borders of Jordan, Syria, and Iraq met. The opposition Syrian Medical Committee reported on Tuesday that coalition force conducted a new airdrop operation in an Humadiyal area in the Bukamal city of the eastern countryside of Deir ez-Zor and killed 8 ISIS members. Meanwhile, the founder of Euphrates Post, Ahmad al-Ramadan, explained Al-Achrak al-Wasat that 2 U.S. helicopters conducted the rapid airdrop operation and clashed with the organization's members, killing 8 of them. Ramadan says the similar operations currently taking place in East Deir ez-Zor mainly target ISIS officials and militants who escaped from Iraq. Also, sources at the Pentagon says that ISIS members reinforced their positions in Deir ez-Zor 2 months ago, adding that hundreds of the organization's members had left the city of Raqqa in the direction of Al-Mayadin area, located 50 kilometers southeast of Deir ez-Zor. The source also said that by escaping to those areas, ISIS militants would not be spared from the attack of coalition forces. Meanwhile, Jaish al-Achai, the Free Tribes Army affiliated with the FSA, kicked off on Tuesday a new battle known as Desert Volcano to out Iranian and other foreign militias fighting alongside regime forces in the Syrian deserts. The death toll from Tuesday's raid by Bahraini police on the home of the Sunni ruled kingdom's most prominent Shia cleric has risen to 5. The Interior Ministry says Tuesday operation was undertaken to safeguard public safety and that during the operation, police authorities came under attack by members of a terrorist cell throwing firebombs, metal rods, knives and axes, forcing the security authorities to respond proportionately, and that 286 people were also arrested after officers came under attack in the village of Diraz. Activist says the officers opened fire at the seat in by supporters of Sheikh Isa Qasim, who was not detained, and it came 2 days after the cleric was convicted of corruption charges. Sheikh Qasim was handed a 1-year suspended prison sentence and fined 100,000 Bahraini dinars, about $265,000, £204,000 after being found guilty by court of collecting funds illegally and money laundering. Last June, Bahrain stripped him of his citizenship, accusing him of using his position to promote violence. The decision left him stateless and at risk of deportation, prompting the sit-in outside his home police response by surrounding Diraz and restricting access. Witnesses says the raid on the sit-in triggered clashes with officers firing pear shot and tear gas at demonstrators, throwing stones and petrol bombs. Now we'll join Anna for some sport news.
Thanks, Okemute. And on sport. Nigeria striker Junior Ajayi was on target for Egyptian giant Al Ahly in their 2-0 away win against Cameroon Coton Sport in a CAF Champions League Match Day 2 Group D clash on Tuesday. Ajayi, 21, and Maoumen Zakaria both scored Al Ahly goals, which secured their first win in group stage following their open day home draw against Zambia Zanaco in Alexandria. Ajayi opened the scoring for Al Ahly in his 12th minute before Maoumen Zakaria doubled their lead 2 minutes later. The goal was Ajayi's first in the year's CAF Champions League. The win temporarily takes Al Ahly to the top in the group on 4 points, while Coton Sport are bottom with no points. The first batch of the Super Eagles player numbering 12 have arrived in Kosiaka ahead of Friday friendly. According to the tweet through the official handle of the Super Eagles, the team will camp at the Best Western Hotel Ajaccio Amirate. Tyrone Eboyi, William Trust Ekong, Chidozie Awezem, Sikiru Olatubosun, Azan Ibrahim, Stephen Ode, Ikechukwu Ezanwa, Uche Agbo, and Dele Alapasu are some of the players listed in having arrived in Ajaccio, France. Others are Ogene Karo Etabo, Ederson Echejeli, and Henry Oyinkiru. The Eagles might be without the service of Leon Balogun for the friendlies against Kausiaka and Togo in France due to an injury. The Maize defender had to replace after 18 minutes in Bundesliga clash against Cologne on Saturday. Claudio Ranieri is hoping to be back in management somewhere in Europe before the start of next season and is not ruling out a return to the Premier League. The former Chelsea and Leicester City manager, sacked by later club in February, said on Tuesday when asked whether he might return to England. The much-traveled Italian was back in the dugout on Tuesday, if only for the evening, as coach of the World Stars charity match in Monaco. The 65-year-old, who pulled off one of the all-time upsets in taking Leicester City to the title last year, refused to be drawn on who he might be talking to. That's it on sports. We move over to Ogale.
Thanks, and with this we come to the end of today's bulletin. But before we go, a quick look at our stories and amazing headlines. A catch of arms in the container has been found at the Tinkan Island port in Lagos. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has expressed concern over the borrowing activities of the federal government. 3 police officers have been killed in eastern Kenya on Wednesday when their vehicle hit a landmine believed to have been laid by Somali jihadist group Al-Shabaab. And on sport, Nigerian striker Junior Ajayi was on target for Egyptian giant Al Ahly in their 2-0 away win against Cameroon Contour Sports in CAF Champions League Matchday 2-day clash. Thanks for joining us. You can follow us on our social media platform by visiting us on our website www.abnchannels.net, or follow us on Twitter at ABN Channels, like us on Facebook at ABN TV. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at African Broadcasting Network. Bye for now.